Hello, my name is Nublum John Dixon. Nublum being my Aboriginal name from the Monero Ngarigo people in the high country in southeastern Australia. Nublum was my great-great-great-granduncle, and I took his name because I have a lot of respect for my great-great-great-granduncle Nublum, who was Bill Munday. I come from the Munday family of the Monero in Australia, and I'm a very proud descendant. My people were displaced off their lands in the late 1800s when people were grabbing our land under what they called a squattage, the Monero Squattage District, which took in the Monero, limestone plains, snowy mountains, and big parts of the south coast around Eden and Twofold Bay. And my family were living at the Delegate Reserve, just outside Delegate, about 5 kilometres, and after being forced in to about 10 acres of land, we were impacted heavily. We're not able to speak our native tongue. We're not able to go out on our lands and hunt without permission because of the dangers of people running around taking our land. And we were basically a threat to them. But Granduncle Bill, he packed the family up when the police come in 1928 and forcibly removed us, my family, and Granduncle Bill took the family down to Wallaga Lake on the south coast. And then our story began on the south coast. We went there essentially because our family have marriage arrangements with the Jurunganj people, and my grandfather is Ngarigo, and my grandmother is Jurunganj from the Bega Valley, is where Wallaga Lake Aboriginal Reserve is situated in the Jurunganj lands. And so we're still there, but we always go back home, back up to the Monero to conduct business, to ensure that we're having our say about our land and our water and what's impacting our lives today. But we will never stop going back there because of the love for our land. We'll never stop going back there because we love the mountains and the crisp, beautiful air. And we take our children up there and we teach our children about the Monero Ngarigo people, the laws and the customs, the class system that was made up under Crow and Eagle Hawk, which is essentially Yuckenbruck Mirang. And if you're Ngarigo, you're either a Yuckenbruck or a Mirang, and underneath those moieties, then you have your totem, and that's what sets you on your way to living your life by the law and the customs of the Ngarigo people. I wanted to go to Auschwitz camp because I felt that on a scale, very similar things happened to the Ngarigo people of the Monero in Australia. So I needed to go there to get the feeling of what that place was like and hear the stories, to see the evil that Nazi Germany did. And I left with an opinion that I had just visited the most evil shell on earth. It's a shell because the people who were taken there are not there now. Their spirits are there. the memories are there, and all of the evidence is there. I've seen it, been through it, and I just, as much as it's a horrible place to visit, it's one of the most horrible places I've ever visited in my life. But I felt that I needed to do that to get the feeling and to understand what happened to the people who Nazi Germany took there. And although the people aren't there and the Nazi Germany is not there, the shell that they left still, it houses the evil that they did. And then that's what I feel. And I feel that the Narragansett people had similar things happen to us with massacres, people being hidden under constructions on our land, stuff that families who were there at the time will never talk about, and then the propaganda that our people killed ourselves off, and that's not true. Our people didn't kill each other off. Our people were living on our land, looking after our land, looking after our people under laws and customs, until the people who came there to take our land turned up. That's when our people started disappearing. We came over here to Poland to extend our hand of friendship to the Polish people, because we have a similar story on a smaller scale, I think, but we do have a similar story. The actions of people gave us those similar stories, and because of this is the year also of Paul Edmund Strzelecki, 150 years since his death. In 1840, he was in our country on Monero land, and he was searching for the highest peak in Australia, which he found with the help of two guides. One of the guides is interesting, was called Jackie. Now, my ancestor, Old Monday, was Jack Monday, and he was around at the time, and it's possible that it was my ancestor who helped Strzelecki find the highest peak in Australia, Mount Kosciuszko. There is further information about my family that goes back before the First Fleet came to Australia, where my ancestor Old Monday gave information to Howard's men, the early anthropologists. I think it was a man called Clive, and he told Clive that his grandfather was Yuckenbruck, and his father was Merung. And that's information that is before the First Fleet came to Australia. In 1804, there is information about a Narragansett people travelling to Sydney to see what was going on after the First Fleet arrived. And there was a story about our early ancestor who did travel to Sydney or north from the Narragansett lands. So it is possible that that person also is Old Monday's father, and that he is my earliest recorded ancestor on the Monero. Old Monday was found in his native state when the Europeans first came among us, and he was under law and custom. He was an initiated man, and once the incoming Europeans made friends with Old Monday, he gave information about our law and customs, and he gave information about the bounds of the Narragansett people's lands, and that information is now that we know that Mount Kosciuszko sits on Narrego land, and we are the custodians of, or the traditional custodians of Mount Kosciuszko. An Aboriginal name does exist, but myself and Aunty Iris have agreed that that name won't be coming out until all Narrego people decide the name of that mountain.